Well, hello, we're back. We're going to talk about comparing two populations in this chapter. In other words, back in chapter 8, when we first learned about confidence intervals, we took one proportion, for example, maybe what percent of teens use Facebook. And we sampled a certain number and we got a response. And we said, okay, based on the responses from this sample, what can we infer about the population? In chapter 10, however, we're going to say, okay, let's survey some teens about Facebook, and then let's survey some adults about Facebook. And I'm not interested in what the separate population proportions are. I'm interested in the difference between the two. That's the idea in this chapter. So, for example, here's the problem. This comes from page 617. If you're scoring at home, or even if you're alone. 639 out of 799 teens use Facebook. 1,555 out of 2,253 adults use Facebook. Now, those percentages are a little bit different. I think this is 69% and 80%. So you have a difference of about 11 in the samples. So the question now is, if there's an 11% difference in the samples, what can we infer about the two populations? Do you see the difference in the question that we're asking now? Construct a 95% confidence interval for the true difference. We can do this, right? So I'm going to show you today how to do this on your calculator. There's really no work involved other than understanding the problem. The math is all done on the calculator. Let's take a look at what we have here. We've got our first proportion, 639 out of 799. We'll call that p hat 1. And we've got our second proportion, 1,555 out of 2,253. We'll call that p hat 2. And what I'm interested in is the difference between them. Like I said, it's about 11% now, but what can we say about the population? Well, let's figure it out. I'll tell you right now, the key is going to be stat, arrow over to test, and then the 2 prop z int. So you can pause the video right now and write that down. Welcome back. Here we go. I am going to screen share here over to the calculator. So I hope you all can see that. And we're going to go stat, tests, and then I'm going to go ahead and just arrow up because it ends up being, that's calc. It ends up being answer B there. 2 prop z int. Let's hit enter and let's go. Now, I referred to the teens as x1, and the difference here, you just have to know it'll be plus or minus, right? If you say p1 minus p2 or p2 minus 1, p1. But the idea is we're interested in the difference. Okay, 639 out of 799, 1,555 out of 2,253. You enter your confidence level, and then boom, calculate. And so we've got, and I'm just going to write this down, and then we'll go back to the screen. So we've got 0.0758, and we've got 1432. Okay. Isn't that pretty cool? So there's your two percentages, by the way. 80 for the teenagers, 69 for the adults, and there's your two ends. Well, okay, here we are. Now, what does this mean? Do you remember what we say? Say it with me. We are 95% confident that the difference in the proportions is between what? 7.58%, 58, and 14.32%. That should sound very familiar to you. Do you remember confidence intervals? You better. So, to review, the difference now in chapter 10, and this is all the first section, the first part of the first section is the confidence interval now, not for the teens who use Facebook, not for the adults who use Facebook, but for the difference between them. Welcome to the first half of this section. Try some of the homework problems and we'll check back in later.